Hi, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while since I've been with you, but it's really good to be with you again this Thursday afternoon. The MyRehab Cafe private and unsearchable secret Facebook group is the aftercare branch of the MyRehab Group of Dual Diagnosis Addiction Centers, or ARC as it was formerly known as. The MyRehab centers are private inpatient drug and alcohol rehab centers that offer high-quality healthcare with high-quality outcomes. The MyRehab Cafe Facebook group has exclusive access to loads of content. If you aren't a member of the MyRehab Cafe Facebook group yet, you're likely watching this on a public channel. And that means that you'll have between 10 and 20 minutes of access to this live broadcast before we switch over exclusively to the private and unsearchable MyRehab Cafe Facebook group. Remember to sign up and join the MyRehab Cafe Facebook group, guys. This is where the interesting parts of the live videos happen. If you want to find out how to join the MyRehab Cafe, please check out the MyRehab Cafe website, and the address is www.myrehab.com, and you can see it's there on the screen. If you do want to participate in this workshop, and we encourage you to do so, please join in via video or audio via the link in the comments section, or leave a comment and Christy will bring it onto screen for us so that we can see what we can do about answering any questions that you have. If you are currently a MyRehab Cafe member, you want a higher degree of anonymity or confidentiality, what you can do is wait for us to end the broadcast on the public channels before hopping over and posting. I'll make an announcement for you when we're switching over. So welcome back. It's such a wonderful opportunity we have to be part of this group and to be able to share knowledge, share information, be able to come and share our stories and to take it forward. And as we normally do on Thursday at lunchtime, we kind of start with a couple of quotes. And our theme for today is the whole idea of self-care, being in a place where we're starting to look after ourselves better, where we kind of look at ourselves with a greater sense of compassion, more understanding towards us. We stop beating ourselves up and we rather sit and say, how do I take care of myself? What do I need to do to get myself into the best position possible to make change happen for me? So the two quotes that we've got for today, the first one from Lala Delia, which says, self-care is how you take your power back. I love this quote. I think it is just so important for us. Self-care is how we take our power back, because we know often what we do, and part of the reason why we end up using is we try to please everybody all around us. We end up kind of putting ourselves down. We don't kind of look after our own hopes, our own dreams. So because we kind of taking care of everybody else, doing what they want us to do, we give them power over our lives. So self-care is the way in which we come now and we sit and say, no more, no longer. I'm taking my power back. I'm claiming ownership of this for me in order to make that difference and to move things forward. So I think coming in and understanding self-care in that kind of way is a real positive. It means that instead of being in a place where we take all of the negative stuff that's happened to us as well, and we kind of give it power over our lives, we say stop, no more. It's now time for me, and to be able to take it forward. And then the second quote by Audre Lorde, who is a feminist activist, she kind of said these words, that self-care is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation. And again, the power of these words is amazing, because it's amazing how often, and we'll talk about it a little bit later as we kind of get into the talk, but it's amazing how many times when I talk to the outpatients from the dual diagnosis centers, is that when I talk with them and they kind of are going out, making changes, trying to do things differently, that they kind of come in and they start saying, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit guilty, that kind of I'm focusing on me now. Isn't it kind of wrong that I'm doing this and just now have this focus on me? But that's where this quote is so important, because to say it's not being self-indulgent, it's about preserving yourself. It's about, especially in the recovery kind of idea, keeping your recovery on track, because you're looking at yourself and making it happen. So those are our two quotes for today. Self-care is how you take your power back, and self-care is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. So why self-care is important in addiction recovery, and why are we talking about this today? Well, as I said a little bit earlier, the number of outpatients who kind of come back to us and are starting to feel guilty because their focus is on themselves. They kind of have this idea that everything they do must be about making amends, making restitution, getting everything right, not kind of focusing on themselves. But what I say to them is, you know what, if you don't look after you now, who's going to? Kind of, we end up in places like this because we're not caring for ourselves. Or we think we are, but what we're ending up doing is caring for ourselves in the wrong manner. So it's really something which comes up time and time again in the outpatient sessions. And one of the reasons why I thought let's kind of dedicate today to it. And if there are any of you who do have kind of questions, you can kind of feel free to put it in. So we know that when we kind of in a place where we are kind of living out our addictive behaviors, we know that they're quick to take over our lives. We know that they're quick to take over everything that's important to us. And the difficulty when we're in active addiction is that it often leads to self-neglect. And we find ourselves in a place where we're really just kind of not taking care of ourselves. We're not taking care of the people who we love. We're not taking care of the people around us. So what happens is, and you guys know this, is that drugs and alcohol become kind of our main priority. And the importance of things like our physical health, our mental health, our employment, our work, our school, our family, everything kind of gets drowned out by our need not to be sober. Because all we want to do is kind of get that rush, get that next fix, deal with the pain, deal with all of those underlying things that kind of take us into this place where we feel the need to use. So that becomes our priority. And so what comes with this is kind of the stress, extra stress that happens. We put on ourselves, poor diet, we kind of start losing our will to exercise. And so we kind of perpetuate these self-destructive behaviors as we try and counteract these negative emotions. But the truth is as well is that once we kind of get into a place where we're sober, that it can also be incredibly easy to get caught up in the chaos of daily life. And we often forget that taking care of ourselves shouldn't be an option, but it's a priority for ourselves going forward. You know, taking care of ourselves kind of sounds easy and a simple task, but in truth, most people kind of find it difficult and struggle to find healthy ways to take care of themselves, whether they're in recovery or not. So what do we mean when we talk about self-care? And I think very simply what it says is that successful addiction recovery requires for us to replace our use of drugs or alcohol or a substance of choice with healthier alternatives. It means knowing and understanding what our triggers are and staying ahead of them. Being in a place where we have the energy and the skills to be able to deal with the emotions, our thought patterns, and kind of the situations that we find ourselves in. Because when we're in this place and we're not caring for ourselves, we kind of go from this initial kind of rehab high, if you like, this place where, yeah, I'm committed, I'm dedicated, I'm going to do all these things. And those of you who've been in here will all have left you with plans and ideas and ideals for you and the things you're going to do with your life. But you also know in reality that often when you kind of leave this place, those ideas which seem fantastic and possible and easy to do suddenly become a little bit harder, and life happens, and it just becomes, well, yeah, I'm not so sure I can do this anymore. It's kind of one of the reasons why, and I know across many of the programs, they have this idea of looking at a diary and working a diary out for the week while you're in here. It's one of the reasons why I don't particularly like that exercise, because while we're in rehab, it's fine to do it, but life happens when you get outside. And if you've invested too much in a particular structure and a particular way of seeing your day, and if you think that's the only way to do it, as soon as stuff goes awry, a lot of people kind of start panicking and start saying, oh, I can't do this. This is just too much. Why even bother? So we need to be in a place to be able to understand that kind of we've got to be able to face up to these times when life happens. Because we know that if we're not taking care of ourselves, that our mood suffers, our ability to focus, to concentrate decreases, our ability to deal with cravings and our triggers is compromised. It becomes easy for us to start justifying our behavior, to coming forward with excuses. It's tough, and life is hard, and my boss is, she's just too much. I'll kind of just use, because kind of we're not doing the things to take care of ourselves, to keep that kind of energy, motivation going, which is what a high level of self-care helps us to be able to do. It helps us to maintain a far more stable mood. It helps us to deal with that when the anxiety comes and the anxiety wants to bite at us. It helps us deal with those times when our moods get really low and we're struggling kind of to kind of even see a way forward. But taking care of ourselves, having made this investment in ourselves and what we're going to do and how we take it forward, gives us this greater energy, gives us a kind of a purpose, a motivation. It helps us kind of tap into those coping abilities that we learn while we're in rehab, and takes it forward from there. And one of the most important things is just kind of how once we start doing it, that one small little act of kind of self-care can snowball and lead to other healthy decisions that give us more self-confidence and improve our sense of health and being. And just let me tell you a little story about this before kind of we have our break and we kind of cross over into the Facebook group. In my previous job, one of the groups of people that I used to do a lot of work with were people who are experiencing domestic violence. And I'd worked with a client for a number of months, and we kind of reached a point where at one stage I asked her, what would you like to be different? And what can you do? What small, one little thing can you do that would make a difference for you? Now, just a little bit of background. she was working at one of the vehicle manufacturing plants in East London, and she would get paid weekly, and every time she kind of would come home on a Friday, she would have to give a whole paycheck over into her husband, and he would kind of look through things, make sure everything was there, and kind of just take it from her. He was very violent, very abusive to her. And when I asked her the question, what one thing would you like to do? She turned and she said to me, actually, you know what I'd like to do after work on a Friday is I would like to go to the Windmill, which is kind of a roadhouse on the Esplanade in East London. I'd like to buy myself an ice cream and take a walk up and down the Esplanade before going home. And so we took that idea and worked on it. And she kind of set a date and said, right, this Friday I'm going to do it. And she did. And she kind of came back to me the following week, was talking to me, and I said to her, so how did things go? And she said, after work, I took a taxi to the beachfront. I bought my ice cream, went for my walk, and then I went home. She said, I felt so good about doing it, so good about doing something for me that was about giving me a chance to rest, not going straight back into this kind of home where I didn't feel welcomed, I wasn't feeling comfortable, but I was doing something for me. And I said to her, so what happened when you got home? And she said, when I got home, my husband came to me as he normally did, shouting and screaming and demanding to know where I'd been, why I was late. Looked at kind of the money being paid out to me and said, actually, money's missing here. And she said, I took my money back from him. And I told him that if he ever laid another hand on me, I would go to the police, and that he had half an hour to pack his stuff and get out of our house. And she said he performed and he cried, but she kicked him out. And it was amazing how just that one little act of going and getting the ice cream, making a difference, had given her the confidence to be able to make bigger decisions and to take care of herself. And that's why self-care is so important, because one small act can snowball and can lead you into other healthy decisions. So we're going to continue with this in the private group in just a moment. Those of you who've been with us on the public access channels, it's been great having you with us. We do hope that you will sign up for the private groups and that we'll see you again. Apart from that, I'll see you in a minute or two, guys. Take care. Look after yourself until then. Thanks, Christy.
What's up, guys? MyRehab Helper here. I want to tell you about a refreshing approach to a process of self-discovery for anyone that's just left a rehab program for substance abuse issues, or for anyone wanting to engage with a community of others on a journey of self-discovery. The MyRehab Cafe initiative is a thriving community focused on sobriety. You'll find that this group is thriving and full of conversations and discussion on what is working for those who are staying sober. Some members have used 12-step programs and others have never stepped foot into a meeting, but they all have one thing in common. They are serious about quitting drinking and leading a better life. New members often express how friendly, open and welcoming the community feels, even more than they expected. We achieve this by fostering a community built on trust and fairness, with policies in place and enforce a no jokes allowed policy. We will make a point of getting you plugged in and connected with the community, and all this with the understanding that you want to be here and the expectation that you will put in the effort and participate in the group. Members gain access to recovery resources like worksheets, online lectures, online Q&A sessions, online discussion forums, online workshops, linking with an accountability partner and the MyRehab podcast. In MyRehab Cafe, you'll get advice and tips from members who have been sober for years, from those who have been where you are. They have a tremendous amount of experience to share, but so do you. We have chosen to grow this group slowly, paying attention to who may be a good fit and who may not be. This group may not be for everyone, and that's okay. Those who realize it's not about what you get from the community, but what you can give, are the ones who we see being the most successful. Those who ask questions, share with others, attend webinars, and get out of their comfort zones are the ones who benefit the most from this private online community. Thanks for listening, guys. MyRehab Helper over and out.